Hello everyone, welcome back to my third playthrough of the game Far Changing Tides. For those of you who are looking for some achievements, we are going to get 3 in this playthrough. Sorry, not 3, 5 in this playthrough, which will be great. Of those 5, 3 I should say, are ones that you kind of have to get as you go through. 2 of them are going to be optional ones that I'm going to show you how to do. So we're finishing off right from when we installed the new stern, as you can see on the back of the ship there. And now I'm just getting everything going. So you can see I've started up the engine to get out into the open, and I'm trying to get the flag at full mast and get the wind catching the sails. And this is important for the first achievement that we're going to go through. That's our optional achievements. Now what I'm going to do is, we've got the engine set, so we're going to be going full throttle. As you can see on the second floor, we're going double speed, or full speed I should say. We're going to get that engine up to full flame. It's fully powered. The winds in our sails fully powered. And we're just going to go here and stand at the front of the ship. And this will get you the achievement King of the World. A little bit of a reference to Titanic, if anyone hasn't seen that or isn't familiar. And that's for standing at the prow of the vessel while it's traveling at full speed. So now I'm just going to speed this part up. Like you've seen in my other playthroughs, there's just a lot of sailing and a lot of time in this. And you can see that I've got the sails fully opened, and there is wind. And I was using the engines a bit there just to get moving quicker. We're just going to keep going. I'm trying to move the sails a little bit as to not hit them around too much. But you can see there is smoke starting to come from those sails a little bit, which will be important because we're going to repair the boat, as that is also part of an achievement. And you can also see there a moment ago, I went and watered the plant. If you got the plant and are going for all those achievements in the last section, that's great. I'm going to post a guide on how to do all of those things. If not, don't worry about it. But watering the plant and opening up that sunroof there is an important part of that. And whenever I go to check on the plant, I accidentally closed it, so that's why I had to reopen it, but that's important. And I tried to stay in the ship here a lot because I was worried, and I don't know why the sails closed here, but I was worried that the storm would do something. Like, we just got hit by that tidal wave recently, so I would have assumed that it would have done something to us. We would have got hit, we would have got sunk, like something would have happened. If you look at the achievement list, there's something about a submarine part or going under the water soon, and I assumed it would have something to do with that area, but as you can see, it didn't. So now we're moving on to our next area. We're going to run into this cliff that just stops us dead in our tracks. And we're just going to start climbing the cliff as there's no really other real place to go to. We just have to climb the cliff. It's a really tall cliff, as you can see. And we've got this crane here with some controls and a repair tool below it, which is not important right now. So we're going to resume that later and deal with that. So for right now, we're going to make our way to the far right and go into this building here, and you can see that there's more murals by the looks of it. We already would have got that achievement for seeing murals earlier, so we don't have to worry about that. That ladder cuts off there, so I just switched to the other side and kept climbing because we're going to need to get to the top of this thing to continue on in the mission. So we can see on the left here, the switch I'm hitting it's going to shoot out water or air, and you want to shoot out air by having it to the far left side, I believe it is. And you can see that in that object we went lifting up on, there is nothing in the middle. If it's full of water, it'll be blue. It'll start off half blue, and you want to pump in air to get it to be empty. As you can see, that the lifting platform that I was on was empty. And this will make it go up, water will make it go down because it will get heavier. And we're just going up to the top of this thing here to hit this switch to get it powered up. And you can see that there's this object coming out over the platform, which is important that we're going to need. You can see right there in the center of the room above us, I'm just going to hit that switch to drop it. And now we've got to do the opposite of what we did earlier. So the switch is on the left to pump air. We're going to switch it to the right to pump water. And we're going to go back up and fill it with water so it drops to the bottom of the building. That was me just trying to get over that thing to hook it up. And there we go. Now we're dropping. You could detach it now if you wanted. I didn't see a point. I just kind of left it in for now. But you can only go so far, and it's going to drop and stop exactly where you need it to be. So you don't have to worry about detaching it at all. I mean, yeah. I did here just because, like, I was messing around with it, but you really don't need to. You could just leave it. And now we're going to go back to that crane that we saw earlier, because this will now be important for us. So what I did was I just hit this button here, and that's going to turn the crane so it's facing that building and that item that we got down from the top of the building. And I moved this to the far right. It turns out you don't have to hold it like I'm doing. Like, you can just drop it a bit, and then when you grab it, you can pull it past. Like, if it's not very long, you can drag it and make it longer. So you need to grab that crane, and you're going to hook it up to this object. And if you can tell by the shape of it, you would have seen this object before. We're actually going to be installing it as another component to the ship. So I just got the repair tool closer here, because I find that repair tool is extremely important. It's for another achievement, and I use it frequently. Now I'm retracting the crane to get this installing piece closer to the ship. And just jump on this button here to spin the crane around to get the attachment into position. I think I've called this thing like 5 different things by now. And because this is going to be achievements, I'll just explain it now. It's actually called a diving module. So this will, because we've run into a cliff, there's really nowhere else to go, so we're going to turn our boat into a ship. And installing that has done it. I don't know, it's not, you don't need to retract this crane like I'm doing. I just did, but we're going down and away from it, so there's, as long as the module is detached and in the ship, you really don't need to worry. Just grab the repair tool and go back to the ship. When you fall from a really high height, I noticed that your character kind of gets stunned for a second because he fell from very high up. So I just started catching myself as to not fall too far. I'm assuming you wouldn't die if you jump from the top to the bottom, but I can't confirm, as you've seen. So now I repaired the mast, and then I went over and stepped on this new module to install it. And this will get you the achievement 20,000 leaks for installing the diving module. And the only new component we have, it just showed there, that's what's going to be used to create our submarine. Same concept. I mean, the game introduces it through those puzzles, like the one we saw above us. It's going to have that same system. Water makes us heavier, air makes us lighter. So I'm going to turn on one of the... I'm going to hook it up to our pump and air system. Though I had it on air, so it's not going to do anything right now. It's just grabbing the repair tool, because I'm going to repair the engine in the front. You can see it smoking there, but I turned our system onto water, so we're making the boat heavier, so now we're going to start sinking. So you can adjust wherever you want to be in the water. If I stopped it, we would just stop where we are now. If I turned it on to air, we'd go back up. But we do have to go all the way down for this. There is an achievement at some point for when you hit the waterfall for navigating the underwater system without hitting anything. This is our first underwater cave system where there's a lot of things to dodge, so I would have assumed it was here, but it says something about a waterfall, and unless there was one in the background I wasn't paying attention to. I never saw a waterfall, so I'm guessing it's not this place. But what I'm going to show you is it turns out, let me know what you think in the comments if you have any different opinions. I think I'm using the boat wrong, essentially. So you can see which gear we're in. We're in first gear. We're in the slower moving forward gear, not the full speed. And I'm just getting, I'm having troubles dropping down. I don't know why I'm always having troubles. But really quickly, what I recommend is if you go out of the boat here, there's a couple pieces of garbage that you can grab for gas. That I'm just quickly going to grab to get our boat going farther. But back to what I was saying. So I've got it in first gear. And when I get the ship running, the first time I did this, I tried to get it going full speed. I rammed the boat off, everything underwater. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to avoid going into the blue section of our power. And I found that just going at this slower clip, from what I noticed, I used a lot more gas. Like I used every piece of trash and all the gas that's in the vehicle now. And by the end of this, I think I used like 4 or something like that. So I used a lot less. So you're going to see here I'm starting it up. But I'm going to stop at the blue. So now that I'm watching this video, I wonder if maybe I was too low there and that's where I hit the ground. Like I said, I thought this would have been the area where you can get the boat through without hitting anything. So maybe try to get your boat higher at that starting part than I did, and let me know if it works for you. If not, I'm still going through the game, and I'm going to see if there is a waterfall part that looks like it's going to be for that achievement, but at this point I cannot confirm. You'll see here I'm just driving really slowly. I found it really hard to gauge, like it looks like we're really close to the rock above. Not as close to the ground. The ground I found easy to determine where we were. The upper section I didn't. So I found this really hard to try and navigate without running into anything. But like I said, I took it slow. I took it nice and easy. And I didn't get the underwater achievement for not hitting anything. If you watch this guide and follow along, you can see where maybe I did or didn't bump things and make adjustments from there. But this is a pretty good route that I found that you weren't really bumping into or hitting anything or anything like that. So I find you just really have to take it slow, because if you're going too fast, like you'll notice the engine isn't getting overheated like it was before, and we're having to cool it off. So that takes out I can focus more on moving the boat up and down as opposed to focusing on cooling it off. So that helps a lot. It's less to focus on, so I have more control over the boat. And what I should say is from the start, when we first went underwater, you kind of go down for a bit, then you go back up like I just did there. And now we're at this sort of clear sailing part. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit a wall eventually, or a door I should say. And I wasn't sure if ramming into it, if the achievement was possible, would affect it at all. So I'm going to take that part a little bit slower. But we're still going a bit up, as you can see. I had my character zoomed out as much as possible. If you're playing regularly, you probably wouldn't be this far zoomed out. Like you'd be looking a bit closer and wouldn't be able to see as much. So I found holding the zoom out button with one hand and then doing the controls with the other really helped. Just to see when I was coming up to things. But if you look at the bottom of the screen now, you'll see that blue item that indicates we have to do something there. So this is when you know you're getting really close to that door. So you can see, I wanted to test out how quickly the boat would stop if I adjusted the speed. And it stops on a dime, which is really surprising because we're underwater and it should keep drifting. But, I mean, that's how it is. So you just want to get it as close to the door as possible. And you'll see why in a second. And I just stopped right there, right shy of the door. Didn't hit it. Perfect parking job underwater here with the submarine, if you can call it parking. And now what we have to do is we have to get that gate open. So you can just walk through the back of the ship out the door. I just typically went underwater. And what you're going to do is you're going to drop this hook. And I just dropped it and I let go, and it'll just keep dropping and it won't stop. So you just want to grab it, move it over, and like I said before, you can just kind of pull on this thing. You'll see I get a bit of resistance there, I found. But we're going to hook it up to that hatch or door, whatever you want to call it. And now we're going to pull up, and we're pulling back the cable. The boat's pulling it up, but you can see it's just moving sideways. It's just a door that opens side to side. We're not ripping it off or anything, we're just pulling it open. I kept opening it fully. We're not going in there with anything big with the ship, so you could have stopped a long time ago. You do believe? Yeah, you could have just... I just kept going in. You really don't need to. You just need to be able to fit in yourself. We're going to be coming out a different way, so it's really not necessary to do all that. And I quickly detached the cable just so it wasn't on that anymore. If you just pick it up and drop it, it landed right back on it for me, so I had to move over to the side and drop it. Now that we're in here, we're just going to go to the left. As you can see, you can go through this floor hatch. There was nothing over there, and I wanted to make sure, but you could just went straight to that floor hatch and then move to the right. This looks like it would have been something here, but we can just skip this room because this right here is going to be our focus. So we need to go to the roof, and we're going to open a new hatch by grabbing this handle here and moving to the right. Like I said, we were coming out a new exit, so that first door isn't really necessary. So we've opened the hatch fully. Our cable's still there, so you can just go down and grab it really quick and attach it to this object down here. Now you can see that there's a hole below it. So this will give you a piece of garbage, but we're not doing all this just for one piece of fuel. That's not the main point, though it is a nice little bonus. So you can start with like pulling it up, and if you let go, it'll keep pulling up. So just let it do its thing. There's no point waiting around. Just go ahead down. And now that the floor is exposed, we can continue on with our mission. So there's just a button here, and there's a piece of garbage, as you can see to the left. I find it kind of looks like a wrench on a sculpture sort of thing. But I pressed in the button, and it's zooming out to show us what it's going to do, and it's going to open up that big door. I just started swimming upwards, because you can still move when this cutscene's going on. You can kind of see me up there in the upper left, just moving around. It doesn't really follow me up to the boat, so I kind of had to wait a second and wait for the animation to happen, but I'm a lot closer to the boat than I was if I was just sitting there. And then we can swim up. You can see all the garbage there now. So I just brought this in, and there's all these hooks again. So far I haven't found a purpose if it's for anything other than just holding on to garbage, so I just brought it in. The one hook's by itself on the chandelier that we need to jump on to get to the plant. So I just have the repair tool on that hook for now. And I'm just bringing all these things in because I didn't know like how would be affected if I was driving through the water. Like, is it just going to float off? Is it not? Probably something I could have tested. There's really no point in not bringing it in, I don't think. So I brought it all in. You don't want to go up yet. You just want to keep going straight through. If you go all the way to the surface, you won't be able to progress yet. And what I'm going to do here is, I'm just cooling off the engine, but I am going to try to go up to the surface. And this is a little premature, so I don't recommend it. You can see the rock wall there already. So there's really no point in doing this. I had to stop the boat to not hit anything and keep going. So we're just getting a lot lower. And I didn't know if this also would count towards that, not hitting anything underwater. So I just tried not to hit anything. And what I should also mention is when you open that gate back there, that will also get you an achievement. That's the turn on the lights achievement for activating the underwater gate. So that there was the underwater gate. So you would have gotten an achievement then. Got caught up in talking about other things. So forgot to mention that part. Well, better late than never though. But moving on to what we're doing, you can see we're moving upwards now because we are about to hit the surface. And as soon as I hit the surface, you can see the wind in that flag there. So I am going to move to full throttle and get the ship up and running again. And I'm keeping this sped up because, like I said, there's just so much sailing around and waiting and things like that. I mean, there's more to your boat now. Like you can fuel it, you can cool off the engine, you can take care of the plant, which I would suggest doing if you have the plant. Go make sure the sunroof's open, go water it. There's things to do now while the boat's going. Unlike before, there's a lot more to do, so that's particularly good. I mean, you could even make the boat faster if you were to use the engine and whatnot right now. I wasn't because I don't know how far gas is going to go in this game, so I didn't want to mess with it or use it unnecessarily. I don't mind waiting and just watching and letting the boat go. I mean, you can play on your phone or something if you want. I mean, do whatever you like. Watch a movie while you're drifting and sailing. But you'll see here I wasn't paying attention for a lot of the reasons I said. I hit the sail off. I hit the mast. So this is good if you weren't grinding and resetting levels and whatnot. For the achievement to repair 10 parts of your vehicle, you could just reset levels and grind it out right away. If you don't, this is where I got that achievement naturally in the game for repairing this mast. If you're a lot more careful from watching these videos or just from playing, if you're a lot more careful than I was and not slamming the boat off everything, you probably would have conserved your repair tool a little bit better by now. Maybe that's not where you got the achievement, but this is where I found I got it. Just by naturally playing. And you can see it was 10-15 seconds ago, but I was watering the plant. I'm going to post a video on what that looks like and taking care of the plant. It looks like it was getting dead almost. Like it looked bad when I went to water it there. So it looks like there's a continuous amount of upkeep. Just something to note. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of achievements. There's 4 achievements associated with that plant. So that's a really good thing to do if you're going for that. If not, if you're here just to see how the game looks, if you're just playing through, it's just, from what I can tell, an extra, so far from what I can tell, it's just an extra thing that's going to take up your time, so you really don't need to, if you're just looking to play through the game and see what the ending's like and how it looks. So we've hit this new part here. There's a boat in front of us. We're going to climb the mast, jump onto this rope, and climb further. You can see just on this platform here, there's a lot of pieces of garbage. So I just grabbed them and chucked them down. And I wasn't sure, not for any particular reason, but there's another piece over here. And I don't throw it down right away. I just kind of set it down and move on. Throw all 4 pieces down. You will come this way again, but I mean, you can just go ahead and do that. So you'll notice now that we're really high up and you can see wind. And you can see that my character, I'm not running slowly. There's some resistance. I hit a lucky part where the wind was cooling down, or slowing down, I should say. What you're going to want to do is, once the wind backs off and you can get to this first piece, grab it and wait for the wind to die down. Then run to the next one, grab it, and there's the wind picking up. And what the wind's going to do, it's going to keep pushing you back. You cannot run against it. It's going to force you back to the point where you're going to have to restart. So just keep grabbing these along the way, like I am here, and waiting for the wind to die down. I don't know why I jumped and grabbed that by accident, so I lost some time. You can see the wind picking up again. I would recommend stopping and waiting here for the wind to die down again. I'm not really sure if I was grabbing onto something. I think just being hidden behind something didn't push you back and you were safe from the wind. Now that the wind's died down, there's a bit of a ways to run, as you can see, to this hole. So I don't know if it's possible to do that in one shot. I would grab that last handle first and wait out the wind. So now we're on this big machine. Looks like we're on the inside of a door or something. There's a lot of parts, a lot of moving mechanisms. You're just going to want to go straight to the bottom. Where the water is here. You can see that box floating in the water. Just grab that, pull it out so you can jump onto it to get back upwards towards the other machinery. But there's a lot of pieces of garbage down here in the bottom left. So just go ahead and grab those and fasten them to these cables, which you can see I'm doing here, because we will need these for the next section. If you happen to do this without watching this video, without knowing what to do first, when I was just doing it first, messing around, I noticed that they respawned, which is great. So you can't really get stuck in this area if you screw up or anything. They do respawn, so that's good. So I wasn't sure if I needed the garbage, so I just grabbed this one and brought it up. You could do that if you want. It's not really necessary, but that button, sorry, I should say it is necessary. So you're gonna need that piece of garbage to. Oh no, it's not necessary. You can see when I hit this button, those pieces of garbage are gonna go up on the cables. And they did it without power at all. So no, it's not necessary to bring your own piece up, but you could if you want to go ahead and get started. And then what I'm doing is I'm just going to get this fire absolutely scorching. And what you should start to notice on the left-hand side, to the left of the part of the engine that shows it's getting really heated up, where I'm standing here now, you can see it's all blue and electric-y, but there's a blue bar that's now running, it's running downwards towards the lower part there. And a little bit farther down, there's these 3 bars that are growing. So we just need to max that out. And I wasn't quite sure when I was at this part, but that requires this fire being in the blue, where I've got it now. It cannot be in the white, or this is going to start, that blue bar is going to start going away. It has to be in the blue. But to be in the blue, the engine's going to get overheated. So get it pumping, make sure this is set to water, cool down the engine, go get it pumping again, cool down the engine. You can see that's what I'm doing. I'm getting it going, I'm cooling down the engine. Once you've done that, these bars are just about to max out here. This part will be finalized. You don't have to worry about the fire at all anymore. And you'll see that it lit up and this this button pushed out. So we're going to push that back in. Everything's ready to be engaged now. And it's going to completely flip this whole thing here. So we're just going to wait, let it flip. And it locks us in this room, so we couldn't leave anyways. But now that it's open, you just want to go just on top of this thing that you're on now, which I had to skip a little bit here to show you that I was coming back to do that. If you press that button on the left, I did, and like I said, I kind of screwed this up, so I edited it around a bit. But if you press that button, you'll see that another module for the boat has come out. And I just grabbed this piece of garbage just because I wanted to have the garbage to make sure the boat could go and I had enough gas. So once that's open, and now I'm moving to, it's open, we're going to drop this cable here. Like I said, I wasn't really sure what I was doing, so I had to jump around a bit. So I apologize, but we're dropping the cable, we're grabbing that now opened compartment, and we're going to pull it all the way back up. If you want the garbage with you, I dropped it outside, so I had to run back and get it. Don't worry, it's not going to leave without you or anything, even though that door to the left opened. And now you're just going to jump on this pad here and start moving the platform towards the boat. Because you can see this is the cable that we ran across originally, so we're moving back towards the boat. Because we have to install it. So this will be our next module installation. So we're just going back towards the boat, just keeping up the speed. And I kind of eased off because I figured we'd be stopping about here. So I imagine it would just stop automatically, but I eased up and let it slide into place. Then you're just going to drop this cable into the boat, as you can see me doing here. And now I'm retracting it. So when we go down and jump on it, this will give you the achievement Ancient Energy for installing the Energy Boost module. I'm just getting all the trash down. There's a bunch up here. We're going to get that engine installed. You can get that achievement. And I'll show you my next playthrough what it's going to look like from here. Good luck. I hope it went well.